we actually played very, very well. I thought we deserved a better fate in terms of results, but in terms of play, I liked our game a lot Saturday or Friday. It was interesting in that it was a 1-0 game, but the shots in that were 39 for us, 37 for Bowling Green, and out of that, there was a ton of really good scoring chances for both teams. And that might be as good a goaltending as I've seen out of two guys in a game in a long time, if ever. And I thought both guys played exceedingly well. They got the one goal. It was interesting. Of all the great chances both teams had, the goal that Bowling Green scored was a bit of one of those seeing eye goals. It was shot from distance. I don't think it was deflected, but there was a pretty good screen in front of Logan, and it just kind of found its way in the net. But there was, there was some really good chances Bowling Green had, and I thought Logan was great, and I thought we had a lot of really good chances as well. And then the next night, I thought that was one of our better games of the year. Territorially, I thought we controlled play. Shots in net were 39-22 for us, and I really thought we played a strong game. And I was disappointed that we weren't able to come away with at least some points. We tied it. We were down 3-1. We scored two quick ones in the third to get to 3-3. We did have a lapse on their fourth goal. But realistically, we played a good, solid hockey game. So, disappointing, and we just keep rolling that kind of hockey out that we played last week, and the wins and points will take care of themselves.
You've got Lake Superior State coming up this weekend, just one home game. What needs to shift, or if anything, to see a win over them this weekend?
Well, I'll start with the things that need to stay the same in terms of, I think, Logan's game on Saturday, if he had played the way he did Friday, we win that game. We start with that. He's played so well. We need good goaltending against Lake State. It sounds like a broken record, but our penalty kill continues to be a sore spot, and we have got to do a better job on that. I think Bowling Green in the 4-3 win had 2 power play goals, so we've got to find a way to get out of these games without giving up any. I think that's probably the one area of the game that's we just continue to be confounded by. So that's one thing that definitely has to change. But I think, and then I was glad to see us get 3 goals on Saturday, but we had enough chances. I thought more for Bowling Green was outstanding, but we still got to find a way to score some goals in a 1-0 game. So for the amount of chances we're getting, we should be getting more goals, and that's one thing I'd like to see change too, is get more on the score sheet, take advantage of the chances we're getting. I will say the power play looks really good. We got power play goal on Saturday, but more importantly, even when we didn't score, we had so many good looks, and the power play I thought was as good as it's looked all year.
And Coach, just talk about the Lake Superior State that you're facing on. They look like they got a record of 8-9. It looks like they're a much improved team compared to last year, and they've had a lot of good victories.
Yeah, they have, and I haven't had a chance yet to watch them on tape. I've got a couple days yet ahead of me. I know Dave Sensors watched them, and I have seen them against other teams. I saw them play against St. Thomas when we were prepping for St. Thomas, and they've got good size. They've got they're playing a really good team game. I think they're aggressive, but they're not so aggressive when they get out of their game plan. I think they stick to their game plan pretty well. I'm gonna have to do a little deeper dive on them though than what I've done so far. But no, they are improved, and it was an interesting series last weekend where they lost to Bemidji, I think 6-1 or something like that on Friday, and then turned around and won like 7-1 on Saturday. So that was it was almost like us in St. Thomas a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not sure quite how that happened, but it happened to us, so I know it can happen to anyone. But yeah, they're playing good hockey, and it's the last game for both of us before break, so I'm certain both teams are going to be hungry for the points.
And a handful of your losses this season, you've said a lot of times, in even those losses, you were happy with certain players who performed well in certain aspects of the game. What will it take for to get those games where you play well, but translate 1-goal losses to a victory.
Yeah, well, I think the two things that have to, you know, have to improve in order for us to show up on the winning side is our penalty kill. There's no question. And then we need to, as I mentioned earlier, we just have to take advantage of the scoring chances we're generating. And we have a lot of good goal scorers, and we've got some guys that have been quiet that shouldn't be quiet. In other words, they've been quiet and not showing up on the score sheet. And that would have been like a Connor McGrath, Tyler Schleppe. Those guys should be scoring regularly, and they're not right now. And you know, we've obviously enjoyed a lot of good goal scoring from our top line. In our second line now, what is now our second line, started the year as our fourth line, they're showing up regularly on the score sheet, and that's Emerson, Fairmouth, and Dirks. I like the third line we've now put together with Hodendole centering Picorni on the left side, and then Caleb Ergang, and that's a line that should score. They did score on Saturday night, and so if we can get three lines scoring, and then on Saturday the fourth line was McGrath, Schleppe, and Nardecki, and that should be another line that can score. So, but we need that third and fourth line to contribute a little bit more offensively and show up on the score sheet, because right now we're really top heavy with the goal scoring, just coming primarily from two lines.
All right, and Coach, let's also talk about this. Before this season started, this time we're looking at right now, did you ever expect that the team would have a record of 5-10-2?
No, I realistically would have thought it would have been the opposite, 10-5-2. But there's a lot of hockey yet in front of us, and I remain very optimistic. I really do. I see how hard the guys work every day in practice. I see the effort level. I've seen the game, like those two games in the weekend. We played really well. We did, and I'm not apologetic whatsoever for those two games. I thought the guys played exceedingly well. I thought they battled really hard both nights, and so I'm still very optimistic.
Just tell me about this. What is your reaction to where you just have to only play one game this weekend? Is that sometimes that for your team, as we're there in a 3-game losing streak, could that be very beneficial for you guys?
I don't know how it'll work regarding the impact on wins and losses. I do know overall that I really like. This was a tweak in the schedule that Damon Witten and myself got together and did during the summer. And what we did by having a game this weekend, it allowed us, even though it's finals week, later in the finals week, we're able to have some really good practices that we wouldn't normally have if we started break this weekend. And then we turn around and we come back in the GLI. We're still going to have a 9-day break, but it's better than a 16-day break. And so that's going to help us, I think, in the GLI. And then what we did is the last game of the year, the last weekend, we were supposed to play 2 at Lake Superior State. And now it's just 1 on a Friday night, and that should help us as we move into playoffs, not being so tired. So there was a lot of benefits to massaging the schedule, if you will, and I thought it worked really well for us. I think Damon felt the same for their team.
And if you're able to give your thoughts about, obviously, past this weekend, the one after that is you guys are going to be playing in the Great Lakes Invitational. And what does it mean for you to be back there again and your team participating in some great hockey? And unfortunately, that first game is against Michigan State, and they are showing that they are one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, you know what? That's great, though. That's who we're excited to be there. Any of the other 2 teams that are in the GLI are Michigan Tech and the University of Alaska at Fairbanks, and all 4 teams are very good. We played last year and not beat Michigan State on the Friday night or the first night of the tournament. We drew them again this year for the first game, and we're excited about that. That's the late game and kind of the marquee game of the night, or of day one, and so we're excited to play in it. We're looking forward to the contest against Michigan State, and then hoping to use that tournament as a springboard into the second half of our season.
All right. And then so kind of talk about going into this game. It's one game, and then you guys, like you said, you have a 9-day break. Last game for both teams before this break. How important is it to get a win going into kind of the Christmas holiday and then getting some momentum into the GLI?
Great question, because I remember walking out of the rink on Saturday last week and thinking to myself, thank God we got that game next week, because it would have been tough to have to sit on that for almost 3 weeks before we play again. That would have been just a tough one to sit on, because not only we lost but how we lost. We were even late in the game and then to come away with a 1-goal loss. So we're hopefully we can rectify that. Obviously Lake State's got their own plans, but it also, the other reason I was very excited about the opportunity to play this coming weekend is I did feel we played well both games there. And while we can't say, okay, well, we're going to keep a winning streak going, we can say, hey, we're going to keep a good hockey streak going. And that's, for me, I guess the message to the guys is, we've got to continue to work hard. We've got to continue to pay attention to details, and we can't get too married to the results right now. If we get frustrated, if, woe is me, then the good hockey may stop. And I know the wins are going to follow. I know when you see a team playing good, the wins are going to follow. So this weekend's game gives us another opportunity to roll out another good hockey game. Now, hopefully we get a win and we can go into that 9-day break feeling pretty good about ourselves. But I do feel good about us. Even though I don't feel great about the record, I do feel good about this team, and I like what I've seen so far. I have.
And then how important is it for kind of you and your team to kind of have this break? They've been playing 2 games every weekend for the past 2 months. I mean, how nice is it for you guys to kind of have this break and kind of get to recuperate, get healthy, and kind of go into the GLI?
Well, I think for different players it's more important than others. There are some guys that have had not great first halves. I alluded to a few guys that we expected a little bit more offensively out of. And I think the ability to go home, hit reset, go home, and then come back kind of with a fresh slate, if you will. I think it's important to those guys. Some of the players that have had really outstanding first halves, if you look at Logan Stein and Antonio Venuto, for instance, they really had strong first halves. And I think for them, they'd probably just as soon just keep playing, because they know they're hot. They don't want to cool off. But I think for all of us, it's not only the games and every weekend playing, it's also school too. A lot of projects are due right now, a lot of finals, and I think everyone will be kind of happy, particularly the freshmen, to come up for air, get home, open a few gifts, and then come on back.